In this tutorial, we are going to talk about new features, functions, and enhancements of the guide and service to version 11.0. Like for any release version, it expands on the features of the previous version, so the same for version 11.0, which expands on the features introduced in 10.1. As a reminder, I show you shortly the main points from the previous version 10.1, which was released in May 2018. In Guide 10.1, some new features and improvements has been added to the screen editor to develop display applications, like including multiple skin images in case units using the same HWD but have different appearance, like for the DM430 display. Some improvement to handle signals easier in the area of screen definition interface, easier way to rotate images, and configuration dialog for widgets POU calls. PLC editor enhancements. A converting function has been added to the PLC editor to convert program POUs to function block POUs in a simple way via a context, and extended support for importing a wider range of valid PLC OpenXML format variations, and provide the, the guide color data type. Enhanced menu structure. Guide menus have been slightly reorganized and additional options added. This is the first step in a process of continuous improvement of user interface and user experience. You can select any file and view in the File Explorer. The context menu is more sorted in submenus, and there is a possibility to access subversion control directly inside Guide and rename a project. The joystick section inside the Hardware tab has been changed to a human-machine interface and contains the analog and CAN joysticks, foot pedals, and HMX units like the HMR rotary encoder. In the service tool, the string data type, which has been implemented in Guide 10.0, has been added in the service tool on advanced page component, logging, uploading, and downloading parameters, as well in the scripting toolbox, and support for multiple tool keys and service application files to add ECU-specific tool keys with one or more matching criteria. After the review of the version 10.1, let's take a look to the guide and service tool features and improvements from version 11.0. On this first slide, you can see all main features of this version, which will be shown more in detail in this video. In version 11.0, a lot of enhancements took place in the guide user interface, which will also be continued in the next releases. The reason is to make it more simpler, easier, and faster for the guide user to develop application and provide an up-to-date user interface and user experience. The so-called UI UX user interface user experience will be continued in the next releases. Remove admin rights is a feature that aims to fix the need to run PLUS+1 tools as admin. The value of this feature is to be user convenience and speed of installations. The screen editor user interface has been updated, and the vector-based screen editor side panel tabs have been rearranged to provide an interactive and intuitive screen editor interface, and some additional features to show, like the IEC 61139-3 compliance, use multiple part numbers, and a fast and easy service tool integrated CAN monitor. The first UI UX enhancements refer to graphical user interface improvements without open project. A new start page has been added and offers clickable links and will be shown when no project is open. The right side tabs like component, function, hardware, and my code allow viewing and access to datasheets. This is how the start page look like when no project is open. There is a new setting and options project open close. When this setting is true and no project is open in guide, the project manager, the inspector, and compiler messages tabs are hidden and the start page is shown instead. Via this new start page, you can easily create new project, open existing, one of the most recent, or a bookmarked project. The number of recent project is configurable in the option settings. You will find links to open interesting sections from the user manual in the middle of the start page. And on the right field of the start page, you can check for updates, start the update center, and have easy access to the PLUS+1 forum and Helpdesk. Additionally, to the start page, the guide user have access to any component, function block, and documentation like the API or datasheet and so on without open a project. You can double click on the file or open it with the return button. When a project is open, the start page becomes no longer visible. Instead, the project manager, the inspector, and compiler message tabs become visible again. Another features to make it as simple and easy for the users are right side tab improvements like text search field, new groups, and a modified tab My Code to manage and handle project files. For each tab on the right side, a simple text search field with 2 buttons for each tab has been added to highlight matching nodes and the component tree, which makes it much more easier to find guide components, function library blocks, and hardware files. 1 button for next search it and 1 for previous search it. The search is not case sensitive and does not need to match the whole word of a node. The current matching node is highlighted in the tree and nodes will be expanded as needed. 2 new groups of components are added, recently used and favorites. The recently used group is filled in dynamically based on which components are dragged into the cat drawing area. This will be a list of the 10 most recently used unique components. The favorites group is a list of any length. Any component currently not in the favorites list will have a context menu option add to favorites. Any component currently in the favorites list will have a context menu option remove from favorites. The previously named tab My Blog has been renamed to My Code. Via this tab you can handle files like pages, blocks, CCPs, modules, or PLC code much more easier. 4 new top levels has been added to the already available levels, blocks, and pages. And it's possible to add files from any of these lists to the current project, either by a context menu option add to project or by drag and drop into the project manager tab. It is also possible to add files to these lists from the project manager tab, either by a context menu option add to my code or by drag and drop into the My Code tab. The link to these folders can be managed by the user and outside of guide. Another features are write text to go to first matching string part inside the connector bus dialog, save multiple tool layouts, and help improvements. If the user has clicked somewhere on the signal list and there we selected a line, it will be possible to start typing characters to find a matching signal name. If the user write a character into the text box, an auto-completion suggestion window will appear, which provides all existing and suggested signal names in alphabetical order. Whenever the contents of the text box is changed by the user into a name that matches any of the existing or suggested names, that name will then also be selected in the grid above. User-defined column sort settings will be remembered and kept up to date whenever the connector bus dialog is displayed. The signal column width will be auto resize to the longest text. In previous versions, the signal column are sometimes too small to fully display the contents in every cell. A combo box has been added to the toolbar, which contains all stored tool layouts. The user can add or remove layouts in the options dialog. And last but not least, a help menu is added to the vector-based screen editor and PLC and C window main menu with an own chapter. Additional guide user interface enhancement has been added. A unified query dialog means that the user will get the same dialog regardless of where on the component the query click is positioned. The general setting pop-up editor window for components has been removed. Guide will now always show the query dialog for components. All guide component query dialogs support the F1 keyboard shortcut to open the HTML manual section for the corresponding component. Also, all guide component query dialogs have a clickable HTML question mark icon displayed. Clicking this icon will have the same effect as using the F1 key in this situation. The remaining guide components will also get a unified query dialog in a normal edit mode. The same basic dialog will be used for all of them. I will use the multi-character component to show you the unified query dialog. There are three places where a multi-character component can be queried. One of them marked by blue rectangle and one marked by a green rectangle and the other one marked by red ellipse. The multi-character component has no input, so those columns will not be visible. In this case, the blue rectangle allowing to change to a different value, green rectangle allowing to change to the type, and the red ellipse allowing to change to a different component. So let's open the unified query dialog for the multi-character component and guide. Via the modifier, you can select any available component in that group. Type in the value and the type as well. In previous guide version, an error window would be shown if type and value did not match. Now with the new unified query dialog, the OK button is displayed and the wrong values and type are highlighted red instead. The drop-down list has been enlarged for selection of output type. In previous version, the type selection drop-down list showed only 8 items at the same time, and the sorting was different for some components, and typing in the type name only works for the first character. Now up to 32 items will be visible at the same time, and the sorting will be the same for all components. When typing in the name of a type, all characters that are typed will be considered. The edit page dialog has become resizable. It is possible to increase the width, which will be remembered in guide. Any property field that has been modified by the user since opening the dialog will be displayed using bold font style. OK and cancel button has been added to the edit page dialog to make it more user-friendly. OK has the same effect as using enter, and cancel has the same effect as using the close button. The following feature aims to fix the need to run PLUS+1 tools guide, service tool, and update center as admin. If guide is started with admin rights, it is indicated by the text administrator in the main window title in graphical user interface mode. At the same time, silent install capability and multi-user support are added. One possible use case might be that the tools are installed by one user with admin rights and used by another user without admin rights. And silent installs are useful for installing software on several machines at once. For example, a network administrator may prefer to distribute a software program via a silent installer to ensure all users within the network have the same installation settings. Another use case is leased computers and IT personnel trying to set up the computer for a new user. So a silent install will reduce the transition time. The EULA and user license agreement needs to be accepted only once after the first start of guide or service tool. Next feature is screen edit enhancement. So let's take a look to the screen editor design, which has been updated. The vector-based screen editor side panel tabs has been rearranged. So the tab definitions has been moved to the right side of the tab screen definitions, and the screen library has been renamed to project library. All user created content are listed in this top right panel. On the lower right side, in addition to the tab selector, the tab external libraries has been added. This tab does include the same libraries which are available on the guide function tab. Inside the screen editor, the guide libraries are grayed out. As already mentioned, it is now possible to import widget libraries. Widgets in the screen editor has already been implemented in the previous versions, and now they can be used in libraries. In a simple way, a widget is a graphical component which combines a visible image and a non-visible object that includes some functionalities. The reason for the implementation of widget libraries is to accelerate the development of display application. Don't start from scratch. Just drag and drop available widget like a component and connect the signals to the in and outputs. So in summary, this feature has been added to the guide screen editor. Therefore, it is prepared to use widget libraries, which on the other hand will be provided soon and independent of the guide version release. Please check out for other videos on how to use and implement widget libraries in screen editor. Another feature is the debugger visualizer. This tool allows the guide programmer to view the graphics of vector-based screen editor applications while debugging them without any display hardware. This offers a faster display development and reduce number of downloads to debug the application. So, as I said, the debug visualizer has been added to the debug toolbar of guide, which opens the graphics of vector-based screen editor application while debugging in guide. This feature in guide 11.0 is just the first shot, and up to now it is planned that this feature will mutate from a visualizer to a simulator in the next releases, so more will come in the near future. Please check out for more videos on how to use the debugger in guide. Additional improvements took place to support new hardware platform like the DM430 display, which was already started in version 10. And in combination with the new DM functionalities, and if supported by the HWD, it will be possible to use new functionalities and features, like adding a boot logo that is shown when the target display is starting, using anti-aliased for rendering, and multiple font format, which can be set via the new button Edit for output formats. In addition, a new type of screen object displaying graphics from the sys file will be available as well. Then we have the CAN monitor. This tool has been implemented in the service tool to monitor CAN bus messages and bus load. The messages are displayed and can be logged to a file. The CAN monitor is a basic general-purpose CAN bus log tool. It is not a substitute for a full-scale canalizer tool. It has been implemented in PLUS+1 Service Tool for fast and easy CAN monitoring, and the tool provides any of the available Service Tool gateways. Other third-party tools like CanKing or Canalizer can still be used separately via the CG150 gateway only. You can open the CAN monitor via Tools in the Service Tool. The logging starts immediately and shows the following information: the CAN bus channel, the message ID, or extended or not, the RTR flag, set or not, the data length code, so the number of the data bytes, the 8 data bytes, the timestamp, and the direction by the message, if it's transmitted or received by the service tool. At the bottom, the bus load is shown. and you can start and stop the canvas monitoring. Beside this, you can start log the messages to a file, and you can open the settings to set decimal and hexadecimal format, set to show the messages and fixed positions, and the maximum number of lines. It is also possible to set a pass filter to limit the CAN IDs to be shown. The next feature enhancement is PLC update. As most of you know, Guide supports all 5 IEC 61139-3 languages, which are used from our competitors with codices for PLC programming. We follow parts of the codices related extensions, but mainly we are going to fulfill the IEC requirements. And that is what we did in Guide continuously during the last years, adding improvements towards compliance with the IEC standard. As with most standards, they are hard to read, but to give a better overview, which IEC standard feature is implemented in Guide and complies with the requirements for all 5 language, Guide 11.0 provides a PLC compliance statement documentation. As you can see, any IEC feature is listed and can be checked if it is implemented in the current Guide version. This could help to clarify any doubt or disbelief related to language integration in Guide without having deep PLC or IEC knowledge. And it could be used related to PLC written code and the possibility to convert or import PLC code to Guide. Last but not least, an additional feature, multiple part numbers instead of one part number. Just to give a quick background knowledge what this is used for, a +1 hardware contains an electronically assigned serial number and 2 or 3 part numbers. These numbers can be read by the +1 service tool, and in +1 Guide it is possible to associate a software function with such a hardware part number or serial number. In previous versions, it was only possible to associate the software with one part number in the application, but some customer has a need to log their software to their own specific part number at the same time, as they need to use subsystem application that is logged to Danfoss premium hardware part number. So Guide version 11.0 meets this need or requirement and allows, in combination with the service tool, to contain several application keying components with different part or serial numbers. We hope that you found this tutorial useful. Remember that +1 community help is available on the +1 user forum or contact the +1 helpdesk. Thank you for your attention.